Hey friends, I am back with round 2 of my Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs for 2021. You loved the last one, so stay tuned for some more inspiration. I've got some cute and spooky decor, so you won't want to miss it. This is Whiskey and Whit. My name's Whitney, and on this channel I love to share DIY and budget home decor as well as Cricut projects, wood builds, really just anything DIY. This is really my creative space. So if you love all things DIY, be sure to hit subscribe down below so you don't miss a future Whiskey and Whit video. Another fun thing about this video is that it is a collab with Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. She reached out and asked me to take part in her Try It Tuesday, and I was excited because it seems like a super fun concept. I haven't done it before, but basically what it is it's to encourage creators to share other creators, shine a light on them, and talk about, you know, other folks that inspire us. And a lot of you always ask me, where do I get my inspiration? It's really all over the place, but today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite finds I have found from all across the internet, and then what I use that inspiration to create in Dollar Tree decor. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my first project comes from TikTok, and the creator is called Jull.colors, and I saw this video on my For You page and I knew that I had to try my hand at it. It is a Dollar Tree doormat that is made to look like a spider web. So I started by taking my black mat, flipping it over, and then this is just a chalk pen marker thing that I have. You just need a lighter color to start marking where your spider web is. I'm just freehanding this because it's a lot of like straight lines as well as little curves at the end. On the back, I just needed to know where my little web pieces were gonna go out so I could cut the actual rug. Now these scissors are from Dollar Tree. They are nice and sharp. Just make sure that you're using some sharp scissors. Then I went through with that same chalk marker, and I'm pretty sure it's from Dollar Tree from a while ago, but you just want something light that you can mark with. And then I went through with some acrylic paint to make it brighter and more bold. So I just did straight lines from the center of my rug and then just did some scallop marks in between each. It's kind of like a half moon type deal, but I'm not doing anything too perfect here because that kind of adds to the spooky vibes. I'm just trying to make the lines I drew more bold. The last step I would recommend is spraying this with a polyacrylic. I took mine outside and did that and forgot to record it. This is so cute, quick and easy to do. You could add some cute little sayings on there if you wanted to. You could do the same thing with cutting out a pumpkin or a ghost. I absolutely love this. It took me probably 5 minutes to put together, and it goes really cute with my new little sock slippers from Target. I will link these down below. I'm finding a ton of Halloween goodies, so I need to share that over on my Instagram, so I'll do that shortly. The next project is another TikTok one that came from Spinnin' Killer Kitten. This video has millions of views, and she made these pool noodles into some spooky candles. So I thought these would be really cool. Let me go do that. Well, my Dollar Tree didn't have any, and so instead I'm going to take a variation on it with some wood faux candles. So I grabbed 2 Dollar Tree plungers, and I started by taking my chop saw and getting rid of the curved top as well as the kind of rounded at the bottom wood so that you can turn it into the base of the plunger. Then from 9 inches all the way down to 4 inches, I cut 5 different pieces to look like my candles, and then I sanded them down. I also made sure to sand down any areas where the sticker was. Then I wanted them to look a little rustic, a little more kind of farmhouse for my vibe. So I took some black paint, thinned it with some water, painted it on, and then rubbed it off. I learned this technique from Jennifer over at Little Bit of Calm and Crazy, and I really like it when I want a stain that I don't have. So this is what you're gonna get, which I really love. Then to create the flame, I used the silicone mat that I've been using to craft with, and I went through and just used my glue gun to kind of draw a flame shape. I did that with hot glue for all of my candles, and I did an extra one for good measure because I only had 5 candles. Once that cools, you're going to be able to peel it right up off of silicone, or you can also use some parchment paper.
But then you will have these little discs that are hardened of hot glue. Well, hardened as glue hardens. Then I just had this acrylic marker on hand that I just put some gold, like yellowy gold paint on there. And then I used a little paintbrush to spread it out over the faux flame. And I really loved the coloring. You could still kind of see light come through it, which is what I wanted. So these were perfect. I added a little bit more paint to all the other ones and painted them. Then once all of my wood pieces were dry, I took some hot glue onto the top of each piece. I added a good amount around the entire circular surface, and then I took my little hot glue flames and put them where I wanted them. I held them in enough so that the glue would start to harden around it, and you may need to add a little bit around kind of where it is to get it to sit up. But here is what it looked like when the flame was on there. Then the last step I did was just take a little bit more hot glue, and this is just regular hot glue, you don't need anything fancy, and I just drew on some drips so it looked like the wax essentially was dripping from the flame. But I like that the glue is clear so that you could still see the black through it, and that keeps that spooky vibe. After all 5 candles were done, I grouped them, and then I grabbed some jute twine just to tie them all together so that they would stay together. They're all flat bottom, so they'll sit up together, but by having them tied, they will all stay in one group. I really like these. They definitely give off a similar spooky vibe as the inspiration, but I like that they're smaller so that they could go on tiered trays. I think this might find a home in my Hocus Pocus inspired bathroom. I will be revealing that in October, so be sure to subscribe for that, but I love how these turned out and I like my take on them. This next inspo came from one of my favorite people over on Instagram, Mrs. Dodge86. Nicole, I love following her. She finds the best stuff at Dollar Tree, and she made these really fun haunted houses from Dollar Tree doll houses. Now, of course, that's another thing that when I want them, I can't find them at my store. So I decided to try my hand at some wood houses with the bird houses. So I started by giving all 3 of the bird houses that I picked up a coat of white paint. I also, throughout the process, pulled off the little perches for the birds because you'll see why in a second. I wanted to cover the back so it just looked like a house and not a birdhouse. Once my birdhouses were dry with white, I grabbed this scrapbook paper that I've literally had for years. I think it was 3 years old from the Target dollar spot, but you could use whatever scrapbook paper you have. You could even probably print out some stuff on cardstock if you want. Tons of options. You could use fabric. But I took my paper and measured it onto essentially the front of the birdhouse, but it's going to become the back of the birdhouse. And I just used a scrapbook paper to cover it so you don't see those hole openings. To get into those little hard to reach grooves at the top, I just used my Arteza hobby knife just to cut it, so I kind of had some guidelines, and then I used my scissors to get it the rest of the way. I did that measuring for each of the houses, and then I used some Mod Podge to get it to stay onto the back of each of the little houses. Then once the backs of the houses were covered, I decided to do 2 hand-drawn, so I just kind of used my Sanderson Sisters Museum house that I just did in a recent video as inspiration. So it was a white base with black accents, and you'll see that house at the end because I made these to go with that, so you'll see it all staged together. But I drew on one, and then I also drew on a second house, and then I decided on my third house that I was going to do scrapbook paper on the front as well. The other fun thing that I did was add some to the roof, so it had some fun shingles and a little bit of traditional Halloween color pop. Here's where you can have a lot of fun. You can make your eaves of your houses different colors. You can color in different areas. Acrylic markers and pens are great for that. I added a fun little kind of banner on this house. Sky's the limit. This would also be a great project with kids. While I was hunting for the dollhouses I didn't find, I also found these really cute lampposts in the Christmas section because that stuff's coming out. I decided to spookify them with some black paint, and then I went through with just some gold paint via the marker that I used on the flames on the last project. I gave it a dot in each of the little holes for the little street lamp, and then I used a teeny little brush to brush it out. So then these look nice and spooky. I love the little houses. They are very Halloween. They're a little bit whimsy as well, which I really like. It's not too spooky, especially with Finn. And like I mentioned, they go really well with my little Sanderson Witch Museum house that I made. I will link that video if you haven't seen that Hocus Pocus one, but I think I might make a couple more to use the tables next to my fireplace as a little Halloween village. I think that would be fun. Add some lights, do some more of this kind of spooky cheesecloth stuff. I love it.
Like I mentioned at the beginning, this video is part of a collab for Try It Tuesday with Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. She does this monthly and I was really thankful she asked me to collab with her. Be sure to head over and check out her video. All that information will be linked down in the description. And if you end up going over there, be sure to tell her hi and say that I sent you. Now let's do some more DIYs.
This next one is another TikTok inspiration from Andrea Shringley Nelson, and this was another one that came up on my For You page, and she was using Mod Podge and food coloring to dye some glassware. So I thought this could be cool for Halloween. It would be cool to have some faux amber glass for fall. So I took some Mod Podge. This is just one of those containers you can get at Dollar Tree. I put half in one solo cup and half in another because I was going to do brown and black, and I added just a splash of water to each of the cups. Then I also added some black food coloring and some brown food coloring. This is gel food coloring I just had at home. I just used what I had and put that in each container, and the more you add, the deeper your color is going to be. I'm just adding until I get a color that I want, and then I'm going to start with the black container. Now this is one of those new ones from Dollar Tree, and I just liked the size, so I went with the larger one to be the black one. I dumped my mixture in, rolled it all around, and then I dumped the excess back into my cup. Once that was all done, I just took a couple of these little Jenga blocks because I had them on hand from a project I was working on, but you could also use cardboard. You just want to get it up off of your pan, which I lined with foil so that it can fully drain. I repeated the step with my brown mixture. It looked kind of like chocolate milk here, but I did it in a smaller Dollar Tree container as well as another glass that I had at my house. I let all three of them drip out for about 30 minutes, and then I put them in my 200-degree oven for 90 minutes. This one turned out the best. I love the brown tint to it. It definitely looks like a fall vase, and I'll definitely be using it. These didn't turn out as great as I wanted because they do have the streaks, as you can see. The Halloween one I wasn't as mad about because it looks kind of spooky, but the other brown one, I was like, meh, wah wah. But that's okay. I'm going to put some Halloween candy in it. As you can see here, you can't really tell anyway, so I think that's awesome. I did get one vase to use out of it, which I absolutely love. This gives all of the fall vibes. If you like this little sweater weather sign, it's a DIY. I will link that video for you. Also a Dollar Tree project, and you can also style it for Halloween as well with the faux amber glass, so there's a lot of options there. I also like using the black as a vase. I might also get some spooky branches to put in there. I don't have any currently, but it goes really cute with this little setup with my mugs from Target and Kroger, as well as my little Target pumpkin. So I love this. I am happy with how these turned out, even though they are not perfect. I think the spooky vibes on the black one is great. This next one I actually found on Pinterest. It is from Life of Style blog, but she also has a YouTube, so I will link all that down below. But she had both a witch hat and a ghost pillow, and I thought these would be adorable. I've been on the hunt for some of the Walmart pillows for ages. None of my Walmarts have gotten them. I'm very bummed about it, so I just decided to make my own. So for the ghost one, I am taking a roll of white felt from Dollar Tree. I'm folding it in half so I have two pieces of the same thing. Then I'm folding it again long ways and cutting just freehand my ghost so that they match. Then I folded back one of the sides and used my glue gun with some Gorilla hot glue to trace and essentially seal the entire thing except for a little area where I can stuff the pillow. If you've been around for a while, this is how we stuff all the pillows, but I want to make sure if you're new that you know how to do it. Then I'm going to flip it around so I've got a seam, so flip it inside out so your hot glue's on the inside. and then go through and stuff it. I'm using polyfill. I've seen people use a variety of things. Cotton balls from Dollar Tree if you want this to be 100%. I just buy big $10 bags of polyfill from Walmart when I get low, and they're on hand for me to do projects like this. Then when it was fully stuffed, I just used some glue, tucked in the ends, and my ghost shape was complete. Then I wanted to add just a little, very simple ghost face. My eyes were a little too big the first time I cut some ovals, so I cut them a little bit smaller, glued them on, and I think this is super fun. I really like the felt face as well, so that Finn can grab the pillow, play with the pillow if he wanted to lay on it as well. It's no big deal, and I really am happy with how this turned out. It's super cute. She also had a witch's hat pillow, which is the first one that I actually saw on Pinterest, and it looked great. And then I realized that she sewed it, which I do not have a sewing machine or sewing skills, so we are going to try to dupe this with hot glue. So I followed the same process as the goat, cut out my shape. I just freehanded it, but you could make a template if you need to. Hot glued around the outside, flipped it inside out, and then went ahead and stuffed it. Now for this one, because the seams were pretty tight, I popped a couple, so I had to fix them as I went, but it ended up working out just fine. Then once it was all done and sealed, I decided to add a cobweb to the corner of mine to kind of spice up the plain black hat. So I used a doll needle, D-O-L-L, and this is a 6-inch needle that I got at Hobby Lobby, but you could get it online. I've got an Amazon link below for you if you're interested. I went through and had to kind of think about it because you are running your needle underneath the surface as well. But I created kind of a crisscross thing, and then I went around the outside to create what looks like the outer workings of a cobweb. That's the best way I know how to describe it. I just kind of worked my way through it. Again, not a sewer, don't have the terminology. So then my last step was to tie another piece of white yarn onto one of the edges and kind of just wrap it around those pieces so that it looked like the inner workings of a spider web. Then when it was done, I just tied it on, and voila! I really like this. It goes really well with my new super cheap pillow cover from Shein. I'll link that down below too. That Boo one is from Shein. But I like my little spider web and my hat, and it goes super well with my little ghost as well. This last one I'm so excited about. I saw this on my Joy Story 2 on Instagram, and this is Suzanne. I've recently discovered her work, which I'm bummed it took me so long because her stuff is so cute. She is the Disney decor queen, and so when I saw this Mickey pumpkin, I knew I wanted to make one for Finn's room. So for this particular project, I followed exactly how she made it because it was really cute and I wanted it, but stay tuned because I did my own variation after this one. So I took this Dollar Tree pumpkin sign, removed the bottom as well as the kind of glitter bomb that was the front, traced some orange cardstock in the pumpkin shape, and then used some glue sticks to stick it on. Once the pumpkin was attached, I used a coffee mug to trace 2 ears in cardboard, and then I used some black cardstock to trace the front and the back. Before I added the cardstock to the ears, I measured so that they fit on the pumpkin instead of having the circle kind of overlap. They just fit right on the edge. I added my cardstock and then trimmed off the areas. Once that was all done, I freehand cut the eyes, nose, and mouth for Mickey Pumpkin. I just pulled up Suzanne's picture because it's done so well, and I tried to recreate what she cut out. It's not as good as hers, but I am proud because I'm usually not a freehander, as you guys know. I usually cut everything with my Cricut, but I wanted to try. Before attaching the face and the ears, I just went through with a orange marker and just made a couple lines to make it look more like a pumpkin. I glued down my face and then I used hot glue to attach the ears. I finished it off with a little stem at the top as well as some hot glue at the bottom to hook it back to its base. And here's my cute little Mickey pumpkin. I'm really excited to get this displayed in Finn's room. He absolutely loves Mickey Mouse, and we got him some Mickey Halloween pajamas because this is really the first year he kind of is even understanding what it is. So huge thank you to Suzanne for that inspiration. Now, while I was making this sign, more inspiration struck, and I thought, Finn's got a chair in his room. Wouldn't it be so cute to have a Mickey pumpkin pillow? I took a 14 by 14 pillow insert that I had. I recently did this for a Hocus Pocus pillow as well. It fits really well inside these Dollar Tree canvas bags, but you could also stuff it with polyfill. I cut off the handles and then, just like I was wrapping a present, took the ends, folded it in, and glued it down around my little pillow. Then I took a Dollar Tree unfinished pumpkin and traced it on some orange felt. I also traced the stem on some green felt, and I made some ears out of some black felt. Then for this one, I printed out a template of a Mickey pumpkin face so that I could then use those as a guide on the black felt for this face. Then when everything was cut out, I lined it up onto my pillow and I hooked everything down with hot glue. This is a decorative pillow. I don't expect it to be like tugged on and used a ton, so I just wanted to hook it to the front as easily as I could. I'm using Gorilla Glue sticks, and my other pillows that I've made with this have held up pretty well, so I would swear by them. You know, if you have kids tugging on it and stuff, none of it's going to hold because it's not sewn, but you know, you can kind of keep that in consideration as you're deciding. Once everything was glued, I had this super cute pillow. Finn was very excited about it. I'm really excited to get both that and the sign into his room so that he's got some more fun Mickey stuff for the season. Also, if you love this project, be sure to follow Suzanne because I'm sure she's going to kill it with the Christmas Disney DIYs as well. I know I'll be watching.
Thanks so much for watching. As always, be sure to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite project was and if you plan to be recreating any of these. I also have all of the information for all of the creators that I have mentioned down in the description. Be sure to check them out, show them love. If you stop by, let them know that you saw them in this video. I absolutely love when I see that other creators give shout outs to other creators. When people do it to me, I love it. So let them know that their creation was featured in this video. You can share the link with them too if you would like to. A huge thank you to Sammy for asking me to collab with her on this video. Be sure to go check out her video. And if you came over from her channel, I hope you'll consider hitting subscribe to stick around and craft with me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!